Got a yen for hot popcorn?
And survived the 2-day Fractured Visions Film Festival. We also spoke with Tai Singh of the Bristol Bad Film Club. Very funny guy, very cool guy. Doing a lot of good stuff in Bristol. Also, you might recognise him from a previous episode when he helped host an event with the Fractured Visions guys for the Greg Sestero feature film Best Friends. And he's also a producer of a couple of really cool looking documentaries coming out soon. So, In Search of the Last Action Hero, which is all about like 80s action movies that obviously we grew up about, and In Search of Darkness, which is very much again about like 80s, but this more like a horror feel or whatever. He also has recently written a book which is available on Amazon called Born to Be Bad, where he interviews like a lot of the actors who played the villains in 80s action movies. Awesome. Yeah, it's a good book. It's a good book. So pick it up off Amazon. And if you go along to Bristol, he'll sign it for you. Unfortunately, I forgot to take my copy, so he didn't sign it for me. And he refused to sign my breasts as well. So, yeah.
I mean, you know, that's a lot of marker pens.
That's just so mean.
My name's Tai Singh. I'm the founder of the Bristol Bad Film Club and a producer on the documentary film In Search of Darkness. Bristol Bad Film Club's been running for 5 years. We used to do it at multiple venues around the city. Now our home in Bristol is the Bristol Improv Theatre. So once a month we show films that are so bad they're great, and we give all the money from the screenings to a different charity each month. Over the past 5 years we've had loads of great screenings. We've had Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero to Bristol a couple of times for screenings of The Room, and also Best Friends. We've also done double bills of Samurai Cop and Samurai Cop 2. And also I've just figured out how to be the first city in the UK to screen one of Neil Breen's films, although that's going to be at Redgrave Theatre and in no way a Bristol Bad Film Club event, because that man is a visionary and his films aren't bad in any way. Despite the amount of streaming services that are available, I don't think you can beat that kind of shared cinematic experience when you're watching a film. Also, a lot of the films that we show aren't actually available on streaming services. They're barely available on DVD and Blu-ray. Most of the films we show, like Tammy and the T-Rex, where Paul Walker is killed by a lion and his brain is put inside a dinosaur robot and he falls in love with his high school girlfriend, Denise Richards, that was only released on VHS. No one else can see that unless you have it on VHS. So those are kind of the films that we show, and as we only charge £5 a ticket and all the profits going to charity, we find that most people are willing to take a punt on our screenings, and plus we always pick a venue that's got a bar. So that, coupled with beer, means everyone has a great night out. As a sole organiser of Bristol Bad Film Club, one of the great things is that basically I get to show the films that I enjoy to a wider audience, and I also like to give films that people might not have heard of a wider audience as well. So it's that mixture of just finding a film that's really entertaining and action-packed. So we've shown films like Miami Connection, which is about a Taekwondo rock band that gets caught up with drug smuggling ninjas. We've shown a big outdoor screening of Raw in Bristol's City Farm, which is the most dangerous film ever made, where 70 cast members and crew members were maimed by lions and tigers. All the animals were fine. So it's kind of putting on that unique experience that you can't get anywhere else, and that's why I enjoy doing what we do in Bristol. The worst thing about it is kind of just the stress of that you've picked a terrible film and no one's really going to come out and see it. And also if you're doing outdoor screenings, the weather. We once did, for the 3rd year in a row, we did an outdoor screening in Victoria Park, and previously we'd done Masters of the Universe in Valley of Gawunji, and then that year we did Cutthroat Island. Unfortunately, a storm hit Bristol that day. Screening went ahead. As opposed to normally about 200 people coming out for our outdoor screenings, 30 people came out. But hey, it was a great 4D experience with that storm scene really given weight by the rain and the wind that was going on around us. I'm off to LA in a couple of weeks to do a series of interviews for a documentary I'm working on called In Search of the Last Action Heroes, which is all about the rise and the fall of the 80s action genre. I'm a producer on the project, which I got after I wrote my book, Born to Be Bad, where I interviewed all the actors that played iconic movie bad guys in 80s action films. So that's coming up, and we hope to get that out by April. And then I'm also working on In Search of Darkness, which is all about the explosion of horror films during the 80s, fueled by like just the slasher craze, with the AIDS crisis. So it's going to be body horror. It's going to be like just the films of Cronenberg and Craven and Carpenter, 3 Cs. So yeah, we got a lot going on. I'm also trying to write a second book and try not to procrastinate too hard while doing that.
Anything you can tease about the second book at this stage?
No. And his films aren't bad in any way.